Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of August 2023. I hope you are well. I'm using the Pagan Otherworlds Tarot for you today. Before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's the first link in the description box. The second link in the description box is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on Circle. You can get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost and hang out with a truly extraordinary group of people. I can't even tell you, they're amazing. And we're setting up classes and all sorts of things over there. If that is something that is of interest to you, you know where to go. So, Scorpio, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. 3 cards for Scorpio, please. Oh, there's the first. We have the Queen of Pentacles in your recent past. What about current energy, please? We have 2 cards, and they are the 9 of Cups and the 10 of Swords. Interesting. Let me flip this around so you can see what I'm looking at there. And what about what is coming towards Scorpio for August, please? We have 2 cards again. They are the Queen of Swords and the 3 of Pentacles. Right, interesting. The Devil is at the bottom of the deck. I'm not too concerned about that, but he is there. So we should pay attention to that. It's the only major arcana energy on the table at the moment. It represents Capricorn and and lots of other things besides. But let's get some. No, actually, we've got Capricorn here as well with the Queen of Pentacles. Let's get some clarifiers out before we talk about this. So it doesn't feel bad to me at all. I mean, readings rarely do, to be fair, but let's have a look. Now we have this Queen of Pentacles. Why is she here for Scorpio? We have the Star card. And we have the 10 of Wands. Tell me about the 9 of Cups and this 10 of Swords. We have the 4 of Swords. We have the Justice card. And we have the 10 of Swords again. Tell me about the Queen of Swords. We have 6 of Swords, 10 of Pentacles, and the 9 of Pentacles. I like this. I'm not going to lie, Scorpio. I actually like this quite a lot. Not without its challenges, for sure. That's the 8 of Pentacles we've got on the bottom of the deck there. Hopefully the camera will adjust a little bit in a minute and you'll be able to see. Not without its challenges, but certainly embracing some sort of transition away from what has been towards what will be, I think is probably the way to put it. You know, we've got cards of endings here. With the 10 of Swords twice and the 10 of Wands. Those are traditionally challenging cards, but it doesn't necessarily mean... I'm sorry, I have absolutely no idea what that noise was. It was utterly terrifying. It doesn't mean that the experience of it has to be challenging, but it certainly feels like there's a push to get out of the cycle that you've been in and go into a new one. We do have the Justice card, the only major arcana card that's actually appeared here on the table. We ignore the Shadow card for a second. And it does speak to a karmic adjustment, and I think there's a karmic realignment going on here. Actually, interestingly enough, when I split the deck to shuffle that, the Tower was hiding in there. I don't feel like this is a month of Tower events for you, but it is certainly a redirection. It's a diversion down a different road that, left to your own devices, you may not have explored on your own. So let's have a look at these cards here. We start off with the Queen of Pentacles, the Star card and the 10 of Wands. Now, the Queen of Pentacles, like I said, is Capricorn energy, and she's very much associated with self-care, the act of nurturing and whatnot. And this doesn't have to be to, you know, just for your own personal well-being, whether it's spiritual or mental or whatever. I mean, we could all be talking about physical well-being too. You could have found yourself on a bit of a health kick recently. But the Queen of Pentacles is the energy of investing in what is important. So obviously, in the first instance, that's going to be you, Scorpio, but it is everything that is around you too. And this transition away from the things that have been occupying your time that possibly don't have as much value as you have assigned to them previously, right? There's a kind of recognition that there isn't as much value there, is the thing that's helping you adjust away from it. You know, the Ten of Wands is a card of burden. And in just about every other deck that I possess, that card of burden is showing someone actually in the act of being burdened, right? They're weighed down with the sticks. They're carrying them in a funky way, you know. They're doing something that makes it look very, very awkward. The Triple Goddess is the only deck that I possess where the Ten of Wands is depicted as a burden that has been put down. It is a true ending there. And when we combine it with the energy of the star, which is Aquarius. Oh shit, that's a Major Arcana card as well. Sorry, I just completely blanked that there for a second. Look at the purple that runs across those two Major Arcana cards there as well. And that's a thing all of its own right there. But this card of Aquarius, this star card, does talk about our hopes and our dreams, our goals for the future. It can talk about profound healing too. And I know that there are some Scorpios who've been going through that. But this adjustment towards what is your star now compared to what was 6 months ago. I mean, 6 months ago it might just have been about sorting out some mess, you know, whether that was internal mess or external mess. I keep wanting to use the word adjustment. And it's interesting because there's so many big challenging energies here, but it is a simple adjustment. It is just a turn here that's being asked of you. And it could well be that the practical material ramifications of that are actually relatively small, but there's a big ask of you to put those down. Now, you started the process already because this is your recent past right here. So something has been put down, a burden has been lifted, which was a very necessary act for creating space. And when you think about what Scorpio does, Scorpio is an energy, it is about that combustion of situations in order that you can create space for the new things to come through. You know, an ending is never simply an ending. It just doesn't work like that. And as soon as a space is created, something new comes in to fill the void. Tell me about this star card, please. We've got the Seven of Swords, which doesn't really surprise me at all, because we've got a calculated risk going on here, right? The risk in actually investing in your future. Now, I mean, for some of you, it might be a material investment, right? We might actually be talking about you having parted ways with money in order to do something. You might have, for example, you might have decided that the amount of work that you do is simply too much and you've had to take some sort of pay cut, but what that has given you is an awful lot of time to do something else, to think about things more clearly. For others of you, it could be exploring the extent to which your mind has had you fixed on a particular outcome, right? And there's almost an idea here that the outcome that you were looking for is one that is no longer congruent with the kind of future that you want for yourself. You know, we can often talk about the Seven of Swords in terms of the ways in which we deceive ourselves, and certainly as the Eight of Swords appears directly thereafter, it's like it's a realization of where our thinking about a particular situation has been very narrow, very, very restricted, and it gives us the opportunity to break out of that. But first we have to get ourselves to a place where we're comfortable with what we have learned and what we have understood before we can move forwards. Now, the Ten of Wands, like I said, it represents completion, as all the tens in the tarot do. That's just and it could be that some of you are just having to take a little bit of time to adjust to a new way of being. The Queen of Swords is here twice for you, and Libra energy is represented here 3 times, with the Justice card being there as well. There's a lot of mental energy in this reading. And I think for some of you, it is adjusting to. There's that word again, adjusting to. your new circumstances. The circumstances might not be new, but they're carrying an absence of the old. And so there's this exploratory energy of like what is my mind about? What is it doing? What is it up to? When it doesn't have these things to worry about because I've put the burden down in some way or another. The Queen of Swords is almost with the King of Swords. I think she's like a lower echo of the Justice card anyway. We've got those energies definitely at play. And as such, we have a sense of stability whenever the Justice card is involved, when she's in the upright. When she's in the reverse, there is a kind of instability here, and I just do think that it's in the adjustment for you. Like maybe you've been used to having to cram 1,001 things into your life every day. Maybe you have been working too hard, and for the longest time you've been working too hard. And now, as you have started to invest in yourself a little bit more and give yourself that quiet time and all those sorts of things, what we're finding now is that there's a space in your head that there wasn't before. And the question of, I think this is the thing that's actually probably on a lot of Scorpios' minds, is like, there's a hole there, there's an absence there, there's a void there. And it's almost like you're looking at it sideways and being like, why are you there? Like, what is going to come in to fill this gap? Is anything going to come in to fill this gap? Or is this literally just going to be a void forever now? Well, I don't think that's the case. It's just that there's a few things that need to kind of fall into place in your mind before you can thoroughly close out what it looks to me very much is trying to close out here in your current energy, and more successfully in the energy of August. So we move on to the Nine of Cups and the Ten of Swords. The Nine of Cups for me is about how you manage your emotions, right? Yes, it is the Wish card, much as the Star card is there. And it can represent, the things that make you really, really happy. But for me, the nines right across the tarot talk about the way that you manage the suit that they represent. Do you allow them to manage you, or do you manage them? So we've got questions of your emotional stability and your happiness right here. And then we have the Ten of Swords. Now the Ten of Swords it's a really challenging card, because the whole suit of swords is a challenging suit. When you think about the card that sits before it, we have the Nine of Swords. It's great concern, it's worry, anxiety, insomnia sometimes. The Ten of Swords, although challenging in and of itself, again represents completion. It represents an end to everything that has gone before. And it could well be that you are much more actively engaged with managing your emotions now than you are in investing time and care and effort and mental energy generally into grieving for something that is difficult to get some sort of perspective on. When the Ten of Swords appears, it's an end to a situation that we have found incredibly challenging. But there can be all sorts of things that come along with that too. And this adjustment here that I keep talking about, Four of Swords, Justice, and the Ten of Swords. I mean, look at all of this mental energy going on here, Scorpio. Double Ten of Swords, Four of Swords, the air energy of Libra, the Queen of Swords, the Aquarius energy of the Star there, and the Seven of Swords. Like, it's almost like your mental energy is peaking to burst through. It's just like bursting a balloon, and suddenly, instead of there being a balloon that is filled with air, what was in the balloon is now part of everything else. And it feels peaceful. That's the thing with this Four of Swords here. If that was any one of a number of other of the Swords suit, then this could be something that feels really quite overwhelming. But you've adjusted, and you've been adjusting to this ahead of time without even, I think, realizing that that's what you were doing. It could be that you've had some revelations in the current moment And it certainly seems to have been happening for a lot of signs, and maybe it's as all the planets are done. We're going to end up with like 7 planets in retrograde very soon. You know, that reflective energy of, what does this all mean? What does it mean for me specifically? How have I changed? How do I wish to continue to change moving forwards? Like those experiences that we've had that have truly scarred our soul, can be a source of enduring pain to us, or they can be the bringer of a really profound lesson. And I think this adjustment, this kind of shuffling around a little bit, being all like, right, well, here's some space now. How do I make my peace with it? Because it does feel like you're letting go of something that has been like a limpet on you for the longest time, Scorpio. And, you know, the circumstances of this, the material circumstances of this, may have been gone for a long time. But it seems like only now are you ready to release this. Mentally, emotionally. Tell me about this 4 of Swords, please. My stomach's gurgling in agreement right now. There you are, King of Cups. You are peaceful, no question. And you've grown emotionally, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, there's that Swords card again. There's a Swords energy everywhere. It does feel like you're clearing house mentally. And whenever we see a card that is numbered 10, what we hope is that we get an ace directly afterwards. We're not lingering too long in the energy of the end, instead seeing it for what it is, the creation of space, and then allowing ourselves to start a whole new cycle. And it's one that is characterized by clear thinking. Yeah, maybe there have been some big fucking epiphanies this month for you already. I would not be surprised to see that was the case at all. Certainly with regard to the way that you understand yourself, but possibly the way that you find yourself communicating now. And that communication can absolutely just be between the different parts of you inside your own head, right? It's the way that the thoughts are coming to you. Everything seems a little less messy than it was before. It's almost kind of hit peak messiness, and then there's this realization that it simply can't continue. And so the consequences, which is often the way that I see the Justice card, the consequences of what you have understood and the way that you have come to a place of peace about them. Again, creating the space for this to occupy considerably more of your time than it has done at any point before now. It's interesting to me because sometimes when I have people come to me in my personal practice and they're trying hard, really, really hard, to work their way through difficult things that they've experienced in their lives. And they've heard a lot about what personal growth should be, and they try and leap directly to letting things go. And I recognise that because I was in that place for quite a long time. Like, how the fuck do you let things go? Like, somebody give me a step-by-step process of how the fuck you let stuff go. Because I didn't understand it conceptually. Understood it intellectually, right? Okay, we'll let it go. Right, I can see how everything would be a lot easier if I wasn't carrying around this shroud of pain and loss and all these sorts of things. But how do I make that happen? I don't understand. And almost uniformly across all of those people is a skipped step. And the skipped step is allowing yourself allowing your emotions to pass through you without trying to pin them down or nail them to something out of the way. You know, that your emotions are incredibly important in this process. I've got one client who's come to a realisation, very, very gentle woman, that she's angry as fuck inside. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I don't want to feel like that. Like, that's not what I want to put out into the world. And the interesting thing is that in the repression of that, that's exactly what we put out into the world. Because it causes all sorts of weird, unforeseen kind of rebounding energies. If you want to wash yourself clean, you have to allow yourself to go there. And you have to allow those emotions to pass through you. And when that happens, you don't have to try at release. You don't even have to try at forgiveness. It's something that springs up absolutely holistically from you taking the time to allow yourself to be with yourself. And sometimes that involves going into the dark. Now, what Scorpio's done over this last 18 months, I'd say this is probably 18 months worth of stuff that you've been working on here, which is interesting because we've got the lunar nodes shifting. Well, they will have shifted by the time you watch this, I should think. And the South Node has been in Scorpio. It's been about processing everything that has been brutal and dark and realising the extent to which we have been carrying it around. And then by extension, how that has coloured our ability to exercise the Nine of Cups in our own lives. What you've done, Scorpio, is not skipped the steps. Or whether you've understood that to be as precious as it actually is, I'm not sure. It might well have been confusing. It might well have felt like your head was fuller than ought to be acceptable. But what seems to be happening in this present moment for you is you taking one of these fucking swords, and maybe it's the Ace of Swords, and just popping that balloon. Maybe there's been a room full of balloons and you've just gone in with the sword and you just cut them all down, and now a room that was full of inflatable things that you were having to struggle to get through, and you couldn't get a full sense of how big the room was or any of those things. Now those little plastic skins have all popped. Now you can perceive the space. Now you can start thinking clearly. And the thinking and your feeling don't seem to be at war with each other. They seem to have found a peace. Feels to me like making peace with endings that have already happened. That thing being an ending in and of itself, you know. Tell me about the Ten of Swords. Thank you. We have the Four of Cups. We have the Nine of Pentacles. And we have the Page of Wands. So what you've done here is put your shit in order. Scorpio. You've put your ducks in a row. You know yourself deeply. You understand yourself deeply. And the things that kept you back before, the fear of rejection, the abandonment issues, the wounding that you have received your entire life has been put to bed. Like the Four of Cups no longer applies to you now. Replaced instead with the Nine of Pentacles, again, another nine, another management. And this is your energetic resources and how they have been freed up and liberated and actually contain a considerable amount of excitement about what the future might hold for you, rather than this kind of, what would my daughters call it, bombastic side-eye that you've been giving your own future for the longest time. There's an acceptance here that whatever will be, will be. The only thing that you have control over is what you're letting go of. And in a way that 5 years ago, like, you might have looked at this situation and gone, there's literally no way. There's literally no way I can let any of this go, to the extent that the Nine of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups can be two cards that I am resonating so fucking strongly with, and they are connected by fate, destiny, if you will, karma for sure. It's like how much of your energetic resources have gone over to everything in the sword suit. I can't remember what the corresponding, what water and air do to each other. I don't think they're friendly elements. But I often think when I see swords in water, in a tarot reading, like what a sword would do. It would sit and rust in the water, and it would taint the water, it would pollute the water. The swords represent the workings of the mind. The water represents the workings of the heart, the emotions, you know. For almost everyone, an abundance of swords. For everyone, an abundance of swords leads to some sort of pollution down the line. Because it is not possible to think your way out of trauma. Quite honestly, Scorpio, I just don't think it's possible. I had a go, had a bash at it for a long time. Didn't work. There's a point where the thinking tops out and you simply cannot go any further with it. Something else has to change. You have to allow yourself to explore life differently, and then, like magic, like poof, it just happens. Like, don't underestimate the magnitude of what it is that you have been doing over the last 18 months. And although you may have been doing it silently and without witness, because that's how Scorpio works, I see it. I see what you've been doing. I said back in 2020, I have literally no idea what it is, what the fuck Scorpio is doing right now. Right? They seem to be pinging from one place to another, looking outside of themselves desperately for anything to fix, anything to resolve itself, to alleviate the pressure and the burden that they were feeling. I remember saying that specifically in a live stream back in 2020. And it was really interesting because just about every other sign appeared to be getting on with their work, right? Scorpio just desperately pinging around everywhere. And I said in that live stream, Scorpio will surprise us. They're the ones who will come out from behind and just overtake everybody else. And if that's not what you've done in the last 18 months, then I don't know what is, because the amount of profound trauma that is, bound up in the sign of Scorpio. Don't forget, we've had Pluto bobbing around, and it's going to continue to bob around for another almost 18 months, I think. November 2024, before it settles down in the sign of Aquarius. Right, those plutonic shifts are going to be affecting everyone, but as your ruling planet, it's going to have a particular significance. But the decks are being cleared here, Scorpio. It's like you're pulling back all of your power to you. You know, the extent to which it's been spread up until this point, it's baffling that you've been able to function. And yet here you are, you know, in a true transformational state. I don't think these Ten of Swords represent anything new that is happening to you in the here and now. No major upset, no massive tower moment. But it is no less a profound tower moment despite that. Because this Ten of Swords is every which way that you've been hurt for your entire existence. And I think that you're sick of carrying it around with you anymore. And so the let it go, as deceptively simple as it is, not easy, but simple, is now something that you have holistically arrived at. And you're like, I can let it go. What does Pluto want us to do? It wants us to just literally blow things up so that we can start again, so that we can transform, so that we can evolve and grow. Think that in your current state there are a few simple, not easy, but simple conclusions that you have arrived at. And you're choosing to embrace those rather than reject them. Maybe it's because they are deceptively simple, or because you don't know who you are without these things defining you anymore. But I think it's this adjustment to the excitement of the idea of not yet knowing who you could be when you weren't weighed down by the concrete boots of everything that had happened to you before. Page of Wands is all about embracing that energy of excitement, the thrill, you know. I think you're getting your thrills in a very different way to the way that you've got them in the past, but that's par for the course as you evolve and grow and mature. Hello, pigeon. I don't know if pigeons have any particular spiritual significance. The biggest, fattest pigeon has just landed outside my window and just looked directly at me. We should maybe look that up afterwards, right? I don't think there's much sadness here with these 10 swords. Perhaps a twinge, but released immediately because there are too many other things to be excited about. There are too many other things that now feel so full of possibility to you. It's distracting, and you are allowing yourself to be distracted by that. Now, when we move into August, we've got the Queen of Swords, or into rather what the entirety of August holds for you. We have the Queen of Swords and we have the Three of Pentacles. We also have the Six of Swords, the 10 of Pentacles and the 9 of Pentacles. And I would not be surprised to find August being somewhat characterized for you by a complete change of focus. I think for a lot of you, you're very discerning about who you choose to spend time with anyway, but I think that that's going to step up a notch for you in August, and it could be that there might be a few casualties of people that you choose to spend time with because of that. You know, remember that the energy of the Queen of Swords is often about excising things, but she's also about making sense of stuff. Now, the Three of Pentacles is about cooperation and collaboration, how we work together. And the nodal shift that we're experiencing, that begins in July, it's like 15th or 18th. I've heard astrologers use both dates, so I don't know. Marks the start of an 18-month cycle for you, where we're doing things differently. Right? Aries, Libra, Aries in the North Node and Libra in the South Node is going to have us focused much more on the I am rather than the we are, which is Libra. And it's going to be characterized by far more courage in being ourselves, right? The pursuit of authenticity, leadership, maybe it's even, assertiveness and whatnot, which could kind of tip over into aggression. We've got to be careful about that. It sees us centering ourselves much more in our own story and redefining the ways in which we show up, right, in any kind of situation that is more than just us. So that is your family, that is your friends, but that is also your culture, that is your society, that is all sorts of things. Redefining the way that you work with them. Like, we see that energy being somewhat amplified by the Queen of Swords here. Let's not forget that you are the King of Cups that is now wielding the Ace of Swords, a singular sword, the only one that you need. And you have here this Queen of Swords too, who's kind of helping you with the movement. Now, movement is a thing because we have the Six of Swords there, and we have a definite sense of leaving something behind. You're leaving a cycle behind, you're leaving resolved trauma behind, you're leaving all sorts of things behind, but maybe you're leaving people behind, maybe leaving situations behind. There's this feeling of you kind of extracting yourself from something that you have been in favour of investing in something that is much more in alignment with your core principles, such as they are and such as you now understand them to be. Because that Ten of Pentacles, if this star card here represents what more or less in the abstract you want your future to contain, right? And I say it's abstract because, we say, what do you want for the future? I want to be happy. What does that actually mean? We all kind of nod and go, yeah, I totally get that. But what does happiness look like to you? How does it manifest itself in your life? I would have said that 15 years ago. What I actually meant was I just wanted everything to stop fucking going wrong, right? I wanted the absence of crap things in my life. That, to me, represented happiness. But as we understand, there's so much more to that. That's a level of neutrality. We want to be going up. It's taking what is essentially kind of abstract, a feeling, and a feeling is going to be really important for you, I think, Scorpio, right? I want to feel happy, I want to feel content, but I also want to feel like I'm pushing on myself. I want to keep that edge in some sort of way. The edge that comes from pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, right? But I want to do it in a way that actually benefits me rather than one that has me sitting in a Nine of Swords state all of the time. So that's the abstract, but this feels like it's much more concrete, right? It's choosing who you are going to be working with in whatever sense. Probably from a practical sense, but almost certainly in a more soulful sense too. And what it is that you are looking to build. What kind of future do you want for yourself, right? And maybe it is nailing it down to some specifics. I want to live in this kind of house. I want to live in this kind of place. I want to be closer to these kind of people. There's a sifting going on here. Might absolutely relate to your house and where you live and all that kind of thing. It might relate to the way that you make money. It might be wanting to set up some sort of business for people. We see all of these things here. But the Ten of Pentacles also talks about, for me, I think, our heritage and our legacy. It's a snapshot in time. There's so much that is unsaid that has gone into the creation of this Ten of Pentacles. And the hope is that this is so stable and this is so secure that it will last and prove to be a legacy for other people. Now, that question of heritage and legacy, I think is a really useful one to explore in the snapshot that is the Ten of Pentacles. Because what have we taken in and what are we letting out? There's a bit of a kind of guiding principle in libertarianism, right? And that is produce more than you consume. Now, obviously, they're talking about money and things like that, food and all that sort of stuff. But I think energetically, it's a question that we should all be asking ourselves as well. Because What are we producing? Are we producing healing energy? Are we living the kind of lives that we, in an abstract sense, kind of really viewed for ourselves? Or is there anything in which we're still feeding the devil, coming at things from a place of fear, coming at things from a place of projection, toxicity? You know, are there any dependencies that we have, and where can they be eliminated? You know, the devil feels almost a little bit abstract to me too, but with that very condensed, well, it's here in the Eight of Pentacles actually, right? There's where the work is. It's about eliminating any of the last dependencies that you have, and clearing the road so that whoever you choose to work with, in whatever sense, whatever it is that you're trying to build, whether it's material or whether it's energetic, you have a clear run to do that. The Eight of Pentacles is about really working at something till you become a master at it, and to all intents and purposes, you are a master at this now. Like this, I think, represents your elevation right here. And now we're looking to replace, substitute what has been the energy of the Ten of Swords and the Nine of Swords and the Eight of Swords for you. Replace it with something else. We've got the Nine of Cups, we've got that contemplation of the Ten of Cups and how you can be in a group with people together that emotionally feeds all of you, you know. It's that collective energy of everybody taking care of their shit. We like that. Here, you've got where are your energetic resources going and how can you invest them into something so that what it is that you create has a legacy that you would want to put your name to. And like I said, it doesn't have to be material. It can be about a group of people that you've brought together. Scorpios are really good at group work. They really like group work. That always surprises me. I don't know why it should, but it just does. And I guess it's because you've been so used to doing a lot of stuff on your own. You know, you kind of assume that would extend to other areas of your life, but it doesn't. You know, so it could be something like that. I mean, you know, building security and stability into your existence and doing it for other people too. Like, where is your energy? Where has your energy been going, and is it leaking out anywhere? Because it's time to step back and have a look at it, and frankly, just put all of that to bed. It's interesting. We've got the Tower. We've got a Tower in the distance here. I'm assuming it is the Tower because it's the preceding card. The Devil is the preceding card to the Tower. There's some sort of major shake-up going on here, and I think it's because you're not prepared to accept anything into your life that isn't truly in alignment with your core values anymore. And if that means that people have to go, then that's fine. You're just going to shake them out and you're going to move on. But I feel like there's much more of a sense of kind of pulling towards rather than pushing away that's going on for you here. And I like that, not least because we've got the lovers at the bottom of the deck. I mean, we were talking about substituting energies. You know, the Devil and the Lovers are essentially the same card. I mean, they're structured identically, at least in the Wade Smith. You know, the Lovers card is numbered 6. The Devil is 15, which reduces down to 6 in numerology. And they speak to me of the ways in which we feel trapped and stuck, right? And certainly we would build in that notion of how the fuck do you let things go? Can somebody give me a step-by-step guide to how to let things go, right? That would be kind of devil energy. I really, really want to do it, but I don't feel like I can. I just don't know how to do it. So that chain around the neck feels pretty fucking tight, even though it's not, and we just stay where we are. Conversely, the Lover's card has that energy of free will, because they're just there. They're there because they want to be there. They're not there because they feel obliged to be there or because they can't be anywhere else, right? The desire to be there is strong. And correspondingly, the union and the harmony and all these sorts of things that we talk about with the Lovers card, but also conscious co-creation is about investing our free will into manifesting what it is that we actually want, rather than what we'd rather not have but don't feel like we can get away from. And to that end, the space that you have created in yourself mentally and emotionally is helping you put everything into the right place here. Like I said, the desire to exercise your free will, invest your energy where you will, and start to build something that has a really strong legacy, that keeps you safe, that keeps you secure, keeps you stable, is overwhelming. So the question is, what is it that you want to build, Scorpio? I guess that question comes after what last few expressions of toxicity and codependency and restriction do you want to release? This is really interesting, Scorpio. Love it for you. As ever, you know, quietly leading the way. I love this. So I'm going to go over to the extended now. If you're interested, you're very welcome to join me over there. You can join me on Vimeo, or you can join me on Circle. It's entirely up to you. But if neither of those apply and we part ways here, that is also fine. Just understand the things that are ending in whatever sense that they're ending this month. And I think for most part, the endings, the completions, the severances, they're all actually happening in here. They will have their expression outside of you at some point. But I think the really important work that's going on internally this month is all pushing you towards getting you in alignment with, you know, karmic readjustment, I think, to this. We might talk about this a little bit more in the extended as well. Right, so know that I love you all very, very much. I'm so proud of you. Like, I know exactly how hard this is, and you're doing it, Scorpio, you're doing it. Take care, and I'll see you soon.